Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
Lawn gnomes? What is a lawn gnome's process?
He was chased by wolves, lost in the forest, escaped in a barrel from the Elf King's halls. Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, the bravest little hobbit of them all.
The movie that I'm going to be reviewing today is a movie that I have just been so excited to see ever since I found out that throughout the controversy and the rewrites and the directing changes, this year, this movie has finally hit theaters. It is based on J.R.R. Tolkien's fantasy novel, The Hobbit. The Hobbit is one of the few books that I would probably consider one of the greatest reads in my lifetime. And maybe it's just because of the fact that I didn't have to read it for school. Because a lot of people that I know that had actually read this book in school have a real bad taste in their mouths in regards to it. And, you know, something that could be said about a lot of books that are read by children if it actually has to be done under an academic schedule and you're actually being tested on it. This is also going to be a video response to Adriana Flo, and she was one of those few that had to read this book for school, so she never really cared, even though she gave it a very, I guess you could say, a respectable review, but I don't blame her. The Hobbit, much like its preceding films based on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which were a true milestone in cinematic art, aren't always liked by everybody. And that's not a bad thing. So, what about this movie? This movie, of course, is directed once again by Peter Jackson, same company, same writers, same everything, and of course, it ended up being a very entertaining and very exciting and fun movie, much like Lord of the Rings. A little different from Lord of the Rings, because The Hobbit is a little bit more of a, I guess you could call it a tamer tale. It is a little bit more fantasy and child-friendly driven as opposed to Lord of the Rings, which was very dark and very dramatic, etc., etc. There also are a couple of other things that a lot of people were skeptical about. Like, how about the fact that this movie is based on a teensy little book, which is really not such a huge read. It's only a little over 300 pages, yet it's going to be 3 movies. And this is not a spoiler, but when the movie was over, we were already just a little over halfway through with the book. So, could it be because they want to get some more money? Sure, why not? Let it be so. But what I also really appreciated about it was the fact that they were extending it and adding a lot more of the lore of Middle-earth into this movie. There was next to no education on the dwarves in Middle-earth, because in the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy there's about 4 dwarves. That's including Gimli, played brilliantly by John Rhys-Davies. So it was nice to see a little bit more of that. There was also a little bit more of some references to the prequel book to The Hobbit, which is called The Silmarillion, so that was also pretty interesting. But I also liked how they filled in some gaps that were definitely noticed in the book, and they added a little bit more to it, and even foreshadowed Lord of the Rings. Once again, it's very well done from a filmmaking standpoint, and that's one of the things that I feel that needs to be told about Peter Jackson and the way that he makes these movies. These are hallowed stories. Fans love them. Fans critique people who interpret them in many different ways, like the animated films from the 1970s and 80s. Peter Jackson does a great job, and he makes it his own by just giving the fans more, and more personality, more story. It's wonderful. And I also really feel that that's something that can basically tell someone who's never read these books, and yet loves science fiction or fantasy, or just wants to see a true masterpiece as far as a film goes, to really not worry about even reading the books. The Hobbit is a little bit more geared towards the book when it comes to the actual book content. I like the fact that they added a lot of the poems and a lot of the songs, and they added music to it. It felt like you were actually reading the book while you were watching the movie, especially when you were looking at the scenes that were directly from the book. But it's just the way that it's filmed, every angle, every color scheme, every backdrop, it's just made to be just extravagant with a massive amount of gravitas, and it's wonderful. So if you don't appreciate the content, it's okay, but if you take a look at other movies out there, going all the way back to Gone with the Wind, you will never see a more beautiful, big, extravagant film as Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films. So I'm giving The Hobbit 3 out of 4. It's not great. It's fun. It's entertaining. There's no need to single out any cast member because it's not about a single person. It's about a collective. You'll see some faces that you adored in the Lord of the Rings movies. You'll get to know some new faces, but you'll also get a lot of surprises. So enjoy it if you plan on seeing it. I know I did. I will definitely see it again if given the opportunity. And will I get this on DVD? I'm hoping that there's a 4-disc special edition. So, comment, like, and subscribe, and the question that I want to leave with you today is a question that was actually given to me by one of my subscribers. I have no intentions of seeing The Life of Pi. I'm sure it's a wonderful movie. I'm not gonna knock it in the slightest. I've heard great reviews, it's getting massive Oscar buzz, people are saying that it's a great movie. But it just doesn't seem like a story that I would appreciate. And truthfully, the director, Ang Lee, I haven't seen a single movie of his that I truly enjoyed. I've seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I don't really intend on seeing Brokeback Mountain. The Hulk was a monstrosity, excuse the pun. But if you've seen Life of Pi, and the guy who'd even told me to go see it, and was surprised that I didn't, if you're watching this, my good man, anyone out there, send me a video response. If you've seen it, I want a review from you. And I want to know why I should see it, especially in theaters. So guys, there's one movie left for me this year, and I'll most likely have a review out right before the new year and wrapping up the season with the finale. So for now, enjoy your holidays. Actions speak louder than words.